A manhunt ends, but questions remain. The suspect in the shooting rampage targeting minorities is dead, but what made him do it? In depth tonight. For women, a new field of dreams. How the winning U.S. women's soccer team is drawing so many girls to the field. Left behind, America's poor. The president tours Appalachia, bringing new promises of prosperity to those left out of the booming economy. And a failing grade. Martha Stewart versus Martha Washington. On our country's birthday, surprising signs of just how little Americans know about our own history.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. A sickening and deadly series of shootings in Illinois over the 4th of July weekend came to a halt when the suspected gunman shot himself to death. Those shootings ended, but the questions go on tonight, for this was a man filled with racial hate, someone well known for his personal rage against ethnic minorities. We begin our coverage with NBC's Ann Thompson and what is known about Benjamin Nathaniel Smith.
Tire tracks along State Route 37 in Salem, Illinois, mark where investigators say Benjamin Smith took his own life as police closed in. But today, the search continues for clues to what triggered the shooting spree this weekend across Illinois and Indiana. Police say targeting minorities, killing 2 men, wounding 7 others.
Law enforcement hadn't caught him last night. I'm fairly confident he would have struck again.
He looked like your average college student, but officials at the University of Illinois, where Smith first studied, say he became a disciplinary problem in his 2nd year. Allegations of domestic violence against a female student, drugs, weapons possession, peeping in windows, and racist posters. Facing expulsion, officials say Smith withdrew and enrolled at Indiana University. There, school administrators report he became a well-known white supremacist, controversial for distributing racist literature, demeaning Jews, blacks, and Asians. Indiana's Dean of Students asked Smith to stop.
He made it very clear he thought he had the right to distribute the literature and he intended to do it, but as I say, it was not in a confrontive way.
Smith defended his rights in the student newspaper in June 1998. Writing under the pseudonym August, he argued white nationalists have no desire to rule over other races. Instead, we want separation from non-whites. That month, Smith joined the World Church of the Creator, led by Matt Hale in Peoria, Illinois, a white supremacist group. But Hale, who claims he spoke to Smith just last week, says the church is not responsible for the violence.
I don't believe it came in any way from our teachings.
Still, Smith's actions caught the attention of the Anti-Defamation League here in Chicago. It says it tracked his activities for the last 14 months, including Smith's April arrest for distributing pamphlets in nearby Wilmette.
We've got to find a way to come together and to get to the root causes of what drives a Ben Smith to such a violent demise.
Tonight in the Midwest, relief. A rampage over, the 21-year-old shooter dead. A killer few recognized in the making. Ann Thompson, NBC News, Chicago.
What is so frustrating about this case is that the suspect's views were so well known, and the message of his favorite hate organization is equally well known, and yet nothing could be done. We continue now with the law and hate. Here's NBC's Pete Williams.
The FBI never investigated Benjamin Smith before and had no reason to, agents said today, even though he belonged to one of the nation's fastest-growing hate groups. The 26-year-old World Church of the Creator, with thousands of members, the exact number unknown, preaches hatred for Jews, blacks, and other minorities, even condemns Christianity as an offshoot of Judaism. And while its leader, Matthew Hale, speaks of peaceful change, he openly advocates what he calls Rehowa, racial holy war. Researchers who follow the church say Hale works hard to recruit the young.
Many extreme young people looking to join such a movement say, now here's a guy who makes sense, and he articulates his view well, and they would want to join a group that he is the leader of.
Law enforcement officials say followers of the church have been linked to a string of fire bombings nationwide at civil rights offices, black churches, and synagogues, and to the murder of a black man in Florida. So anti-hate groups who track the church aren't surprised that one of its members would turn to violence.
Now, this is a religion by and for psychopaths. It is a religion which attracts serial killers. And, you know, we've only just seen the latest evidence of that.
But federal officials say even hate is protected free speech. And since the 1970s, federal agents have been prohibited from investigating radical hate groups unless their members are suspected of planning specific crimes.
The FBI cannot open a file or do any surveillance or any investigation on any individual simply because they have radical beliefs or beliefs that seem odd or threatening in some manner.
Harder still to track those on the fringes of hate groups like Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma City bomber, or Eric Rudolph, charged with bombing the Atlanta Olympics. That's why law enforcement officials say it's impossible to stop the lone wolf, someone who suddenly steps out of the crowd to act out strong beliefs with violence. Pete Williams, NBC News, Washington.
Now to the heat wave that has the entire eastern part of North America all the way up to Canada trapped under a hot, wet blanket of airborne misery. The National Weather Service has posted heat advisories from the Mississippi Valley to the eastern seaboard as a record-breaking combination of high temperatures and very high humidity turned this holiday Monday into one long struggle to stay cool. High temperatures broke records all over the East Coast. New York City, 101 degrees in Central Park, the hottest it's ever been on this date. The lines at city pools snaked on for blocks. Almost 750,000 people jammed the beaches. Chicago, also sweltering. No waiting in line at the pool for these kids. They just turned on the fire hydrants. Washington, D.C., well known for its steam bath summers, looked like a sticky stereotype of itself. At least one person resorting to a raft ride on the Potomac in an attempt at relief. The reason for all of this, the dreaded Bermuda High, a rush of hot, wet air from the south, bringing triple-digit temperatures to many cities across America. The heat index, however, is the real culprit, a combination of heat and humidity that is a more accurate measure of how bad things are. Hospitals in several cities said tonight they're bracing for the first heat-related health problems. Meanwhile, millions of Americans hope by the end of the week, this record-breaking heat wave will begin to diminish. Those of us here in the East looking for sympathy should not look to the Pacific Northwest, which has had a record cold snap. The temperatures in Pendleton, Oregon this morning, a record low 44 degrees. Up next, NBC News in Depth tonight, the Women's World Cup of Soccer drawing attention to the explosion of interest in girls' soccer in America, growing so fast some girls can't find a place to play.
There's not enough, and the demand is so high, and we're turning away kids.
Women's soccer sweeping the nation. Now the problem is keeping up with the demand for wide open spaces for serious play. Later, President Clinton travels to parts of America left behind in this time of unparalleled economic prosperity. What can be done to change that?
Where will you be when your grandson gets his first taste of the ocean? When man walks on Mars? When your children want to discover their heritage? Life is filled with moments you don't want to miss. That's why if you have high cholesterol and heart disease, you should know about Zocor. Zocor is proven to help save lives by reducing the risk of a heart attack. So where will you be tomorrow? That could depend on what you do today. When diet and exercise aren't enough, talk to your doctor about adding Zocor. Zocor is a prescription medication and is not right for everyone, including women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant, or people with liver problems. Your doctor may do blood tests to check for liver problems, because serious side effects can result. Tell your doctor about any muscle pain or weakness you experience while on Zocor, and about any medicines you are taking. For more information, talk to your doctor or call. Zocor, it's your future. Be there.
With Days Inn hotels in over 1,800 cities and towns, there's bound to be one where you're headed. You can pretty much bet on it. Days Inn. There you go.
Boogie woogie, rumbling round, creamy, dreamy, rumbling round. It's got yogurt blended right in with the creamy taste of butter. You'll try again.
The goodness of yogurt, the creamy taste of butter with half the fat and calories. Must be Rummelin' Brown.
Raisin Bran, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on?
That Raisin Bran has less than half your folic acid for the day. Even less of your zinc.
That's a weenie breakfast, Frank.
There's almost no vitamin E at all. Looks like you need Total Raisin Bran. Just one bowl gives you 100% of 10 important vitamins and minerals you need for the day. No other Raisin Bran comes close.
Attaboy, Frank! And there's room for my spoon.
Total Raisin Bran, Total Cornflakes. What are you getting for breakfast?
Dateline Monday. She was the victim of a sexual assault, but she says the man they put behind bars didn't do it. One of his other personalities did.
The body of Bill Green did that, but it wasn't Bill Green, it was home.
But is it real or just a con?
So who's speaking up?
Willie.
Sam. William.
Yeah.
Dateline Monday, 10, 9 Central on NBC.
NBC News in depth tonight, the surprise hit of the summer, Women's World Cup soccer. Something many families around this country already know, that women's soccer is big and growing bigger every day. The World Cup numbers tell part of the story. More than 570,000 tickets have been sold for the tournament that ends this Saturday in Los Angeles, with the U.S. team going against China. But with all of this popularity, there are obvious growing pains. NBC's Kelly O'Donnell in depth tonight.
An airport arrival in Los Angeles today to welcome the most famous team of relative unknowns in the country, U.S. women's soccer. Unknowns unless, of course, you're a 10 or 12-year-old girl or a parent.
Do you have a favorite player?
Mia Hamm, the world's leading scorer, and the U.S. team are in L.A. for Saturday's championship match of the Women's World Cup.
I really like USA and I really like soccer.
The U.S. team has already won over a generation of young soccer fans.
Let's go.
4 million girls nationwide play the game themselves, the second fastest growing women's sport in America, behind basketball. Athletic opportunity their mothers didn't have.
The best we could hope for is being a cheerleader on the sidelines, but we were never the major players. We were never what the event was about. That has changed with World Cup soccer.
Why do girls seem to get such a kick out of this game? Part of the appeal, it's a sport that doesn't require physical size. You don't have to be especially tall, big, or strong to play well. So girls of all different abilities find out they can excel. In San Jose, Dan Minutello's 10-year-old daughters, Kate and Gina, have played since they were only 4 years old. Minutello says he understands girls' passion for soccer.
Girls realize that they can play. They can play at certain ages just as well, if not better, than the boys.
But all the enthusiasm for soccer creates one huge problem, a nationwide shortage of fields.
Whoa, nice shot. The situation is so bad that we've actually gone out and looked for a field to purchase or lease.
For now, Minutello is both coach and groundskeeper on the city field they use. Pulling weeds, filling holes, and the team's soccer dads mow every other week, yard work necessary to prevent injuries on uneven fields. Across the country in Montgomery County, Maryland, the field shortage forced the league to drop 500 kids.
To turn away kids because there aren't enough fields is a shame.
Their answer? Something called a soccerplex. 24 soccer fields at one site, paid for by state and private money along with parents' contributions.
They're willing to spend the money to make that dream a reality.
At least 10 communities nationwide developing their own soccerplexes to meet the demand for space. Fields where more than ever, it's little girls who do the dreaming about playing on a world stage. Kelly O'Donnell, NBC News, Palo Alto.
Up next, President Clinton in Appalachia and Lifeline coming to a hospital near you, an all-out battle for your business if you're a heart patient. Is this medicine or money?
Hi, I have a question about buying stock. What's the difference between a market order and a limit order? Hello? Excuse me.
When you have an investment question, does your online brokerage have anybody there to answer it? We do.
It's not funny anymore.
In this envelope with a green star could be a real check for $25,000. In this one could be $100,000. This
This week, there are thousands of real checks in selected Publishers Clearinghouse envelopes with a green star. Watch your mail.
Around here, it's not every day we all get together.
We're making them dinner. Come on, you guys.
But when we do, it's great that the folks at Kraft make Italian.
I love this stuff.
Because it's the one thing we agree on. That way, we can talk about what's on our minds instead of what's on our plates.
Whose idea was this? Well, Kale has a boyfriend.
I guess they just know what we like.
A what?
He's a senior. He's a senior.
Around here, the dressing is Kraft. For something different, try one of Kraft's new vinaigrettes.
When dentures dream, they see the perfect denture cleanser. One with the stain-fighting power of Efferdent and the freshening power of Listerine. Well, little friend, dream no more. It's really here. It's called Efferdent Plus, and it's the only denture cleanser that could make your dream come true. Efferdent Clean and Listerine Fresh. That's Efferdent Plus.
Discover the great-tasting fiber therapy that won't produce excess gas. Discover Citracel. People prefer the taste of Citracel over Metamucil 2-to-1. Taste tests prove it. Citracel. No excess gas and better taste, too.
You've all gotten what you wanted in this deal. V6, dual sliding doors, etc., etc. What about my client? Where's his share? Who's looking out for him? Jackie Childs, that's who. What's he need with 9 cup holders? What about 9 bottle holders? Yeah, you like that, don't you?
Oh, brother.
What's that?
Nothing.
The all-new 7-passenger, 9-bottle holding something for everyone Honda Odyssey. It's one big happy minivan.
Friday, get a double dose of our summer concert series when Chicago and the Doobie Brothers take it to the streets. Brought to you by the incredible edible egg, only on Today.
Get more of the Today Show with Later Today, coming in September.
For many Americans, of course, with the booming economy, these are the best of times. But President Clinton hit the road today, traveling across the country to drum up support for areas where the boom is not even a blip. The president's first stop took him to the eastern Appalachia town of Hazard, Kentucky. And NBC's Claire Shipman is there tonight.
It might be a scene from the hills of Kentucky 30 years ago. Silas, unemployed, sells odds and ends to get by, raising 3 sons in a house with no running water. He says he's skeptical today's high-profile visitor will make any improvements in his life. But the president, kicking off his 4-day tour of impoverished America, says Washington, with the help of big business, can and will make a difference.
This is a time to bring more jobs and investment and hope to the areas of our country that had not fully participated in this economic recovery. We have an obligation to do it.
President Clinton's trip is meant to echo Lyndon Johnson's war on poverty, but with a twist. Clinton, who was trailed by a group of cabinet secretaries and corporate CEOs, says the region would benefit more from corporate investment than from government subsidies. He toured a successful local manufacturing firm to make his point. In fact, most experts say the war on poverty achieved its goal. In 1960, 50% of Appalachia's more than 400 counties were considered economically distressed. Today, that number has been cut in half.
The reality is also that there are 2 Appalachias. One is that Appalachia that has made significant economic progress and significant diversification. And then we have the other Appalachia.
That Appalachia still has deep pockets of extreme poverty. Unemployment 50% higher than the rest of the country. The reason? Much of it is still too hard to reach. While massive investment in a highway system brought much of Appalachia into the 20th century, the roads have bypassed many regions. Experts say investment in those pockets will still be a long time coming. Albert Smith is hopeful, even though he had to leave his family here to find work in North Carolina. He comes back for frequent visits.
Jobs. Jobs is a big thing.
But longtime resident and businessman Dr. Vern Cooper has more faith. He says industry and Appalachia will be a good match.
People there are hard workers. They're educated, they're trained. They'll give you a day's work for a day's money.
As for Silas, he's heard promises from Washington before. And like so many here, he says he's not counting on anything. Claire Shipman, NBC News, Hazard, Kentucky.
And on Lifeline tonight, the newest battle over your health care dollars. 61% of Americans now depend on managed care. Now hospitals are going head-to-head, competing for your business. But does that always produce good medicine or just more dollars? NBC's George Lewis looks at the front lines, 2 competing hospitals in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where the prize is a piece of the $200 billion Americans spend every year on heart disease.
Sherry Tyson, an Albuquerque school teacher, suffers from heart problems and lupus. And this day, her physician gives her even more bad news.
Next year, I'm not going to be able to be your primary care physician with your current insurance plan.
Yes, and that upsets me terribly.
Upset because, along with 10,000 other patients, she's being forced to change physicians and told she can't use a new state-of-the-art hospital because of a war between 2 hospital groups. It has split this city's medical community right down the middle.
It has been somewhat of a nasty and very uncomfortable divorce.
And this is the major reason for the breakup. The Heart Hospital of New Mexico, opening in September.
We're trying to use a lot of analogies from the hotel industry.
A medical boutique for heart patients, only 55 beds, the latest equipment, and highly personalized service.
We're going to have a concierge.
That's right, a concierge, just like the person who greets patrons at a 5-star hotel.
An individual that will know every patient, know what their needs are.
The doctors at the new hospital say it's the cure to the impersonal assembly line medicine dispensed by managed care hospitals.
Our patients come out of the hospital with a better experience and a better sense of caring and a better sense of outcome.
But doctors at the rival hospital say it's not about care, it's about money.
The real issue is about physicians trying to profit off of one of the remaining profitable areas in healthcare, and that's the provision of heart services.
Around here, they've got a name for the competition among physicians for the lucrative cardiac care business. Heart Wars. The battle lines drawn between the new Heart Hospital and just down the road from here, Presbyterian Hospital, which accuses the new facility of skimming off the most profitable patients. And if Presbyterian loses the revenue from heart patients, it may have to cut back on services for other people.
The more lucrative patients will be drained from the hospital that is there to serve the entire community, and it definitely will compromise that hospital's ability to treat the community at large.
It's happening across the country. 8 communities opening similar heart hospitals run by the same management company, raising questions for thousands of heart patients. What will happen to their health when the doctors fight over them?
I really just do not want this to happen.
George Lewis, NBC News, Albuquerque, New Mexico.
And coming up, after the long weekend celebrating American history, a painless, though perhaps embarrassing, little pop quiz.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Jeez. The Constitution. Declaration of Independence. Yeah, that's it.
When it comes to America's past, is ignorance really bliss?
Used to be, if I want something done right, I called me. It worked. Until I tried to quit smoking. I needed more than me. I got Nicorette. Nicorette helped me 2 ways. I used it on a regular schedule to help prevent my cravings, and for unexpected cravings, I was ready with an extra piece. I used to be a slave to cigarettes. Nicorette helped me hang on, helped me win. Now that I'm nicotine-free, I gotta tell you, it feels good to win.
Now Nicorette is available in mint. What a refreshing choice. You can do it. Nicorette can help.
When arthritis pain hurts, you want relief fast. But some pills can cause stomach irritation. Rubs can have odor. Aspercream's different. Rubbing an Aspercream relieves minor arthritis pain. No stomach irritation, no odor. Aspercream. Pain relief without aspirin.
With Days Inn hotels in over 1,800 cities and towns, you never think about where to stay. You just go with the flow. Days Inn. There you go.
Imagine a world without moisture. For millions of people with dry, scratchy eyes, this is how their world feels. Now there's new Visine Tears for dry eyes, with a unique tears formula not found in other leading brands. Visine Tears soothes dry, scratchy eyes and makes them feel moist and comfortable in seconds. Discover a world of comfort with new Visine Tears. It gets the dry out. Now available in preservative-free single-use containers.
Max is a mighty dog. That's why he gets new Mighty Dog carved beef and gravy, tender slices and savory gravy to give Max all the energy he needs. New Mighty Dog carved beef and carved beef with pasta. Mighty Dog from Friskies.
Got heartburn caused by acid reflux? Only Gaviscon forms a soothing protective barrier that keeps acid down. Pepcid AC and Zantac 75 can't do that. Gaviscon, it helps keep acid down where it belongs.
We know all about it. Some people throw away the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes without even opening it up. Well, this week, that could be a costly mistake. Because this week, if you throw away a Publishers Clearinghouse envelope with this green star, you could be throwing away a real check for $100,000. There are thousands of real checks right inside selected envelopes marked with a green star. Checks you can take right to the bank. So watch for a Publishers Clearinghouse envelope with a green star. There could be a real check inside.
Just ahead at 6, he was convicted of criminally negligent homicide. Police said he gave cocaine and alcohol to his newborn baby. So why is this man back on the street? We will talk with him. And the search intensifies for a missing Robertson County girl. The scene at 6 is just minutes away. Stay with us.
It's been a long 4th of July weekend, Friday through today for many Americans, but then it is the nation's birthday, the last one of what has been called the American century. So there's a lot to celebrate, right? And just what do we celebrate? Well, as NBC's Bob Faw discovered, not everyone is so sure.
America celebrates the 4th as it always does, loudly, proudly. Only the red, white, and blue celebration of American history comes amid news signs that for most Americans, what is past is hardly prologue.
Which of the following three men is considered one of the founding fathers? Andrew Jackson, Benedict Arnold, or Alexander Hamilton?
But wait, you say, they're only children. Very well.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Jeez, the Constitution.
The Constitution. No?
No, it's the Declaration of Independence. And yes, a new survey commissioned for Colonial Williamsburg finds huge gaps in Americans' knowledge of their own history.
Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, or the Constitution?
14th Amendment of the United States.
We found that Americans know not as much perhaps as they should about history itself.
What we do know, the study finds, is popular culture. Bill Gates, almost twice as well known as that man on your $10 bill, Alexander Hamilton, the first Treasury Secretary. While 8 in 10 could identify Martha Stewart, only 2 people in 3 could pick out Martha Washington, George's wife. Those kids who didn't know a founding father, just ask them what sells.
Phrase, just do it, is Coca-Cola, Nike, or Levi's? Go ahead.
Nike.
Understandable, say historians, but alarming when 79% of Americans can recognize Nike's slogan, and not even half, just 47%, know that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness comes from the Declaration of Independence.
It's more important to be part of your own times than living in the past. However, historians must add to that we believe that living in your own times is enriched by a knowledge of the past.
What we don't know doesn't mean we can't celebrate the past, but the new survey does tend to reinforce Harry Truman's old lament that the only thing new in the world is the history you don't know.
Who are the rebels?
Bob Faw, NBC News, Washington.
That's nightly news for this Monday, July 5th. Don't forget Dateline tonight at 10, 9 Central. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you back here tomorrow night.
Nightly News is a presentation of NBC News. More Americans watch NBC News than any other news organization in the world.